Welcome to another episode of Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about how and why it is important for you to treat your Amazon journey or your Amazon business as a real business, because a lot of times people just think it's a hobby, and that's one of the biggest reasons that people are not successful on Amazon. Margaret and Kevin, how are you guys doing today? How's your
I'm
week
very
going so far?
well. I'm good.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I
really
just want to
good.
say
Yeah,
a
really good.
hobby,
Thanks, Nicola.
I'm going to say something. A hobby takes money, a business makes money. So there's my start.
Ooh, I love that. By the way, this phrase, Amazon is not a hobby, this is Margaret's phrase, and you need to like copyright it or something, Margaret, because it just makes so much sense. Okay, but before we start talking about our topic, I want to remind everyone that India Sourcing Workshop starts this week. So this Friday and Saturday, we're going to have our very, very first India Sourcing Workshop. Now, this is the world's first, the world's only workshop or course that actually teaches you how to source products from India for e-commerce and private label. There is nothing like this out there. And the reason we think this is so important and this is very timely is because of what's going on in the sourcing world nowadays. And it's really, really important now more than ever to diversify your sourcing because of what's happening. Whether you want to, of course, China makes the world's products. China is the world's factory. So there's no doubt that you have to source products from China, but you should have a China plus one strategy because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You never know what might happen, in China or other countries. So you should diversify your sourcing. And that's why this workshop is very, very timely, very important. And we would really encourage everyone to sign up for the workshop. We're going to go through the agenda real quick in a bit, but it's extremely comprehensive. And initially we had started this as a 2-day workshop because we only wanted to focus on, sourcing from India. But then we realized that a lot of people who were joining the workshop are actually newbies. They're just starting out on Amazon. So we've added another day to the workshop where we're going to be covering everything you need to know about, or all the steps involved in setting up your product on Amazon and listing your product on Amazon. So right from the beginning, from product research right until the last step, which is listing your product. So Margaret calls this the Amazon roadmap. Okay, so Marg, do you want to say anything else about the workshop before I just look for the agenda and share my screen here?
Well, I just think it's going to help. Look, it's not just for newbies. I mean, originally it was really aimed at people who were actually sourcing, but because we've had, a lot of the people coming are not selling at all, we thought it's no point in teaching them how to source if they don't know to look for other things before they start sourcing, like costings and all the cost of Amazon. So that's why we've actually incorporated this in. It's not going to be the whole workshop. It's only going to be probably the first hour and a half. We're just going to get this so people understand before they even think about sourcing or look at what we're talking about, that they go and get the right information before they start. So that's why we're doing it too. But I mean, people who've been sourcing for a while there might be things that they just haven't, they've missed, they've never done, or they can improve on. So it just might help people of every level.
Exactly. So we got Kelvin from Singapore joining us, Malik from Honolulu.
Oh,
I
wow.
wish I was there. I'd
How are
like to be over
you?
there.
I know.
Beautiful.
Sastro is joining us as well.
Muhammad,
Mike Sharma. Hi, Mike from Sydney. Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Long time. How are you doing? Okay, so I just want to quickly go over the agenda just to give you guys an idea of the content that we're going to be covering in this workshop. So on day one, this is the day one agenda. We're first of all going to start with the Amazon roadmap. And this is what Margaret was just talking about. So we're going to go through the entire process. And this is like, I don't know, 15, 20 steps, right, Margaret?
Oh yeah, there's quite a
Yeah,
few.
quite a few. But we're not going to go deep into, each of the steps. We're just going to lay them out all for you so that you know which step to do first and what to do next. A lot of people get confused and they think, oh, should I start my company first? Should I list on Amazon first? Should I do my trademark first? So this is all laid out for you. And then this is, I think, a really important topic. So how to ensure your Amazon business is profitable. And this is something that Mag is really, really, really passionate about because she has run multiple businesses over the course of her career. And she always talks about this. If you're not running, if your business is not profitable, why are you running this business in the first place? Just to make Jeff some money? So, Mark, do you want to quickly just talk a little bit about this and what you're going to cover, and also your profitability sheet that you're going to share with everyone?
Yes, look, well, with this whole, I suppose, workshop, there's going to be all the notes. So because obviously we've just got the screens with the bullets, but what I've prepared, and Megla will do the same, is in the background, whatever we talk about, there will be pages. I've got, I think, something like 30 odd pages of notes. So people can actually go back and they don't have to watch the whole video through to find that one bit. So they'll be able to look through the notes that we give them after the whole workshop's finished and find reference to back to whatever we've spoken about. So, but I think, look, it's no good having a business if you're not making money. And I know a lot of people who've done Amazon and they fail in their first product and they outlay a lot of money and they get really discouraged. And a lot of that can be avoided. Look, it's not saying every product is never, ever totally profitable. Some people, even the biggest gurus out there, will tell you they've all had failures, sort of products that they think will go well, but they just don't actually end up turning out how they think. So I think, the main thing is, though, to understand all the costs so you know exactly what you're up for before you start. It's no good finding a product and then, going live and finding out that there's all these other costs that you didn't know about. So it's most important that you do all that before you start.
Right. Then we're going to go into product validation for India-made products, because India-made products are a bit different from the regular China kind of products. Trademarks and patents, overview of India sourcing and differences with China, because a lot of you are already sourcing from China, or a lot of people start with China and then they want to diversify to other countries. So, but India and China are different in many ways. Then this is the most important thing and the biggest question we get asked: what to source in India and where to source it from. So, of course, India does not produce all products. So you need to know what products India specializes in and then come to India to source those products. Should you source via an agency or direct, types of suppliers, how to source via social enterprises. This is something that's very unique to India. There are these corporations that work with people that live in villages or underprivileged communities, and you can actually work via these social enterprises to to help uplift these communities as well. So that's a very different and unique kind of way of sourcing from India. How to create a brand story based on products from India. So that's another thing that we're going to cover on day one. That's day one agenda. Day two is more jam packed, and I think we're going to run over time here. So we're scheduled for 3 hours, but be ready to go for like 4 hours or so for this one. So, how to find and vet suppliers, that is a huge topic in itself. Sampling best practices, communicating effectively, IP protection, supplier contracts. This is a question that we get asked so often in the group. Do I need a contract with my supplier? What should I put in the contract? And all of those things. We're going to cover that. Negotiating with suppliers, packaging. We have had so many questions about packaging in the group. So we're going to be talking about what are the considerations that you need to keep in mind while designing your packaging and how to go about getting the packaging produced. Quality control, shipping and logistics, managing lead times and delays, what to do when things go wrong. So all of these topics are basically based on, first of all, we want to provide an A to Z of sourcing from India. And these are also based on the questions that people have been asking in the group repeatedly. Okay, and then day three agenda is basically, we're going to first of all cover some specific product categories that are more Amazonable from India. So sourcing wooden products, fabrics and apparel, metal and brass products, and eco-friendly products. So these are the 4 key categories that we're going to be covering, and we'll give you an overview of how to go about sourcing these kinds of products and what are some of the pros and cons of sourcing these products, the types of products you can source, and the price ranges and the quality issues that you need to be aware of, and all of those things. Then we're going to be talking about cultural sensitivities, and we've got a guest coming in to talk about this topic. And he's basically an American who lives in India, and he's been living in India for 4 or 5 years now. And he has a very, different perspective, and we wanted to invite him to talk about cultural sensitivities from his perspective, because he is a foreigner living in India, and he's sort of seeing things like, I'm an Indian, so maybe I find things normal, but from a foreigner's perspective, those things might be very different. So he's going to be talking about cultural sensitivities. And then we've got a question and answer session with a QC specialist. So in case you have any questions about quality control, inspections, they'll be there to answer those questions. And then logistics as well. And then we have a Q&A and discussion at the end of the workshop. So if you have any questions. Plus, we're also going to be, of course, having a Telegram group. So the Telegram group is there for everybody to ask any questions that you might have or just share your experiences. And lastly, I want to mention that we're also going to be giving a lot of templates and checklists. And this is, again, something that people have been asking in the group repeatedly, which is why we put together this list of the most important and key templates that you'll be using when sourcing from India. So there's a profitability calculator template. This is super detailed and this will really, really help you, especially if you're starting out. It has got a long list of all of the different costs that you need to be aware of, and it will actually help you calculate the profitability of a product even before you start sourcing it. We've got a purchase order template. So a lot of people ask us, hey, I want to place an order with a supplier, but what does a purchase order look like? I have no idea. So we'll give you a template that you can use. Product specifications sheet. Again, this is a huge, huge issue that people face when they're sourcing from India for the first time. They don't know how to communicate their product specs to suppliers. And they've sent emails and different emails here and there, and the information is all scattered. And that is one reason why quality issues happen, because there's miscommunication. So we're going to provide you a template where you can put in all your product specs, your packaging requirements, and give to your supplier so that there's no room for any confusion between you and the supplier what's required. NNN template, factory audit sample report, inspection sample report, sample tech pack. If you're doing apparel or any other fabric-based product, a tech pack is definitely needed. So we'll give you a sample tech pack just to give you an idea of what it looks like so that you can create a tech pack on your own, or you can also get a professional to get it done for you. Shipping marks template, and then detailed notes from the workshop. So, we've done so many workshops over the last year, and one of the things that we realized people really need after the workshop is notes from the workshop, because it's very difficult to go back to the 3-hour-long video and look for the specific thing that you were asking for. So we prepared detailed notes from the workshop. It's going to be almost like an ebook that you can take away after the workshop, and you've got everything. It's going to have an index so you can jump to specific topics. So it's going to be very convenient to go back and look at the notes from the workshop. And then, of course, we're going to provide one page of all the important links and connections that you need for, different types of service providers in case you want to inquire about them, or in case you want to use their services. So this is a very handy, almost like an ebook that you're going to get after the workshop. So that's the agenda and the templates and checklists. Mark, Kevin, have I missed anything?
I don't think so. I think we've just about covered everything there. And look, I just think it's got so much information for anyone who's starting to just not have to sort of try and do it all on your own. I know it's not easy, and look, I've been lucky. We've sort of had friends and done masterminds with different people all along our journey. So we've always had, people around our dining room table sharing, how do we do this next step? Well, where do we go? How do we find this? And we've worked together. But if you're on your own out there, Amazon can be very lonely. If you don't have some other people you can go and even discuss these things. So all this information should help you to, get everything right and know what you need and how you do it. I just think it's, fantastic. I mean, I still say this, you still really need to do a course as well. This is only like, we can't teach you everything you need to know about Amazon in, 8 or 9 hours. So this is just sort of, I suppose, picking the biggest points out of an actual course. So I still believe you need to do a complete Amazon course, and we've got all the suggestions. We'll talk about that in the workshop. So I think, and this is just something that will help you quickly do it without going through, a course, because I know most of the courses, you could spend probably 2 weeks looking back for, what you need to know or where it was and where did you read that bit. So this is just really a short index of everything that you would learn in a full-on course. And then, of course, we're adding everything about India that you don't get in any course.
I think it sort of, it puts the dots together for people. I mean, look, it's all India sourcing. It's an India sourcing workshop, and we're trying to, uncover little gems in India and, bring those factories to the people who, can deal with them in confidence, and and look at those products, and then put those products on Amazon and make money. Yeah, and just all this going from A to Z, and what you and Margaret have put together, Megla, from what I see from my little side, it's so helpful just going from A to Z and covering all those areas. And I think it'd be really, really helpful for a lot of people, from beginners to, intermediaries to well-seasoned people who are sourcing, just to recover that ground. And, maybe there's some templates that you sort of haven't sort of seen or looked at before. So no, I think it's a great workshop. Well done, girls.
Yeah, and I think too, we're going to be sort of going over what areas you can get what from. And look, we've actually just brought on board a sporting goods manufacturer, and we were actually talking to one of the bigger Amazon sellers in the whole marketplace the other day, and she went, "Oh, I didn't even know you could get sporting goods in India." So I think, and these people are out and about and sourcing all the time, and they don't know it. So I mean, it is hidden. People don't know what India has really got. And I mean, we're slowly adding more and more of these sort of hidden gems to our sort of list of vetted suppliers. So I think there's, lots of things like that you're going to learn about too, from just what's in the area. So at least then that area makes that. So, hey, India does make that. So I should work a bit harder at finding that. So, or come to us if you're after something in particular and you can't find it, come and ask us and we can try and find it.
There is some things that we get asked for all the time, which are, definitely China-centric, which would be the number one, Megla, begins with S.
Which one?
Silicon.
Oh, silicon, yeah. Definitely.
I
also want to point out that after the workshop, you will also get access to our mastermind for 1 month. So we're starting an India sourcing mastermind, and everybody who joins the workshop will get 1 month access to the mastermind. So you get 1 month extended support from us and other e-commerce experts that are part of the mastermind as well. So I think it's a ton of value. Definitely check it out, especially if you are, deep in the Amazon sourcing, Amazon business, and if you're really treating this as a business. If you're treating it as a hobby, then don't join the course, please. Okay, so somebody's asking, yes, the replay will be available, Kim. And the way that we do our workshops is that we send out the replay a few hours after the live has finished, so that you can have immediate access to the replay, and then you can watch the replay and then come back into the Telegram group and ask any questions that you might have. And we also post all of the resources and the links to the replay in the Telegram group, so you have easy access to everything. And the workshop is held over a course of 3 weekends. So between each session, you'll have up to a week to process all of the information, because sometimes at these workshops, there's so much information that's given. It's difficult to process everything in just 3 hours. So we don't want to, give you all the information, then just let you go. We have a gap of a week between each of the sessions so that you can watch the replay again, process the information, maybe go try some things, and then come back and ask us any questions that you might have.
Megla's even giving you some homework, aren't you, Megla? There's homework.
Yeah, we've got homework too.
So, so that'll help you, some of the exercises to go through them and actually know how to do it. So you don't forget. I mean, I can, read something and forget about it, but I think if I've actually done it, you tend to stick in your mind a little bit better.
We'll also have
and I think the other great thing,
the
other great thing is, the interaction from the Telegram group. If someone, I've seen in the past workshops that we've done, the interaction between, the people that have done the course, that if someone, hasn't actually been live on the course and they come in with questions, people will just jump straight on. It seems like, hey, it's like brotherly and sisterly love. Everyone's sort of helping everybody else, and that's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get into our topic for today. So first of all, Mark, why do you think this is an important topic, and what triggered you? Because a couple of days ago you came to me and said, we were talking about Webinar Wednesday, and you were like, okay, we have to do this topic and we have to talk about this, but what triggered you?
Look, I think we've had so many people either come to me or they've posted somewhere, either in one of our, messages or another group, And just people who are sort of, obviously they're doing the wrong thing. They've never done their research. They don't know where to start. Look, the worst thing you can do is wake up one day and see an ad, oh, I can sell on Amazon, and buy yourself a product and ship it to Amazon. Like, I remember somebody posted in our group one day, I've got my product in India. How do I get it to Amazon? Hello. I mean, is it labeled ready for Amazon? Is Amazon, which warehouse, I think the question said, what address for Amazon should I put? So obviously, if you don't know that, you shouldn't be doing your Amazon order yet. You need to know all those things before you even order anything for Amazon.
Yeah.
And
what's the old Marg? What's the old nursery rhyme? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I think people need to know. There's so many things you need to know. Are you going to do FBM? Are you going to do FBA? I know somebody posted the other day, oh, I can't make money doing FBA. I'm going to do FBM. Well, guess what? FBM is more costly than doing FBA. So, all these things, it's no good just thinking you know it and you're going to try something else, because you're burning money. I mean, it is not, if you've done your sort of setup for Amazon right, it's not a cheap process. I mean, I believe, and look, I say 10,000, and that's a minimum really of what you need to set yourself up in a business. And I know Megla, I just said this to Megla before and she cracked up, and it is, I said, like, if you're going to open a hair salon and you don't want to buy a pair of scissors, how are you going to cut hair? And that's the same thing. People say to me, I don't want to pay for helium-10. It's $88 a month. I can't afford that. Well, you can't afford to be doing Amazon. If you haven't got $88 a month, get real. How are you going to run a business? How are you going to order thousands of dollars worth of products, trademark, box, send shipments in, cover all these costs, insurance? There's so many things you need. You are going into a business. So, and I think a lot of people see these fantastic ads in, give me $500 and you can start your Amazon business and you don't need an hour a day. I mean, if anyone believes that, it's rubbish. I mean, it's like a dream. It's like winning tax lotto if you can do that. I mean, one or two people might have been lucky and done something like that. But, the general rule, and we see so many people starting up their Amazon business, and people will come to me and they've already ordered the product and then go, oh, what do you think? And I'll sort of go, oh my God, however are they going to make money on this? Because they haven't allowed enough costings. They haven't gone and looked at those costings. And the thing is, if you're not prepared to spend that $88 for helium-10, you cannot even work out the cost. So what you can do is, if you've got helium-10 and you want to sell a salad bowl and it's 12 inches square, you can go in and look at your opposition salad bowl, go into the profitability calculator and see what the actual Amazon costs are for most of that product. So before you start, that, hey, the costs are $20 and I've only got $25 to sell it for. I'm not going to make any money. So I think people have got to spend the money before you start. It's no good thinking, I don't need that software, I'm not selling yet. You need that to do your research. And if you're not prepared to spend that to get yourself started, I don't think you should even take on Amazon, because that's a minimum. That's a nothing. I mean, $88 can be a day's PPC once you're launching your new product. So, there are costs that people need to understand. And that's the problem. A lot of people advertise, you can do Amazon, but they never tell you. And I mean, I say it as it is. I tell the truth. There's no glamour in this. If you want to listen to me, you'll get the truth. I'm a straight shooter. I don't try and tell you that you can do it on $5 because you can't. So I think that's what people need to learn, and that's why we've added the extra things at the start, because it's no good teaching you how to source from India if you haven't got the basics in your mind and know how much, a product. It's no good thinking. And a lot of people too, I don't know, it's their hobby. I've always wanted to, sell, this pretty picture or something. And you go, yeah, but, who likes that? Just because it's what you want or what you love. It's good having a hobby to sell, but your hobby might not work on Amazon. So I think you've got to look at the bigger picture here, and it's a business. And once again, when you choose something, I mean, it's a great business. I'm not knocking Amazon here, because I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years nearly, and we've got 12 products. If I went and rented a shop over in, my local shopping centre, and I wanted to start a gift shop, could I buy 12 products and put them in this big shell and sit there and go, oh, who's going to come in here? I mean, so, if you go and do a bricks and mortar in the same vein of what we're doing, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of dollars, because you've got to have probably 1,000 products and 10 of each or something in your stock room to keep that shop filled. you know, who's going to advertise for you? I mean, Amazon is there. You're on the day you launch, you know, your product's getting shown. It's a great model, but you've got to spend some money to do it. You can't do it for nothing. It's not an easy fix to, and I think a lot of people think, oh, they see these ads, oh yeah, you can do it for an hour a day and sit on a beach, you can do it from anywhere in the world. Yeah, we can go and do it somewhere. If we could travel, we could do that, but it's still a big commitment. It's a financial commitment, and to scale and make real money that's going to, you know, give you $60,000 or $100,000 a year to replace that income. You can't do that with $1,000. And when I say $10,000, you've either got to scale slowly to get that far, or you've got to, you know, get yourself $100,000 loan and buy a bigger amount of stock and get a few products to get going if you want to do it quickly. So it's not something you can just do on $500 and make anything that's sensible.
But Mark, you've got that sort of hidden things. Plus, you need to have an established cash flow.
Well, you do, yeah.
And if you want to scale, you've really got to sort of be able to lay your hands on a nice credit card with a bit of credit line, or sort of have a bit of savings in hand to, you know, to propel yourself with any scaling. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's right. And look, I mean, you know, if you get a gem of product, I mean, look, I know people that have actually started off and their product's gone crazy in the first couple of months, but you've got to be able to then have another order being made. The minute that order leaves the factory, you need to have placed the next order. Because if you're going to get, you know, sales, you know, really good monthly sales, you've got to have that stock constantly. So then you become this revolving money. And if it takes off and you need another 1,000 products a month, well, you've got to have more money. So you've got to keep reinvesting everything you make. Like, you're not going to be able to just go in and the first month take a salary out and, like, tell me, bricks and mortar. I've worked with a few companies that have had bricks and mortar businesses and tried to help them. And, you know, they expect to go in and get a salary after the first year. After 2 years, you're lucky if you get anything out of it, because there's so many expenses and so much money gets, you know, sort of lost in rents and all that. We're not paying rent. I mean, I was actually watching something the other day, and it was a shop in Sydney, and he was paying $150,000 a month in rent. And now he's got closed with COVID, so he can't cope. So, I mean, we don't have to pay, you know, $39 a month to be in Amazon. Wow. So, you know, it's all pretty good.
Right. So let's give some specific guidelines to people that will help them, you know, think about their Amazon journey or their Amazon business as a real business. So I think the very first thing that you really talk about is costing. So this is really important for you, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people about this?
Well, look, I think what you've got to do is sit down and I know some of it's a little bit hard to get exactly right, because you don't really know how much that product's going to be to ship. But once again, I go back to using the Helium-10 profitability calculator, and it will give you a rough cost of how much it's going to be to ship. It might be to the dollar, but I mean, the way shipping costs are, I don't even know how much my next one's going to be to ship each product, because it's going up all the time. But you've got to find out, and you can get a really good guide by just getting the profitability calculator, working out, you know, how much, you know, and you've got to guess a bit at first. For your first product, it's a little bit of a guessing game, but you'll be able to get it pretty accurate. And, you know, like, it's just a matter of finding a similar product. I think the easiest way to do it is go into Amazon, look at something, you want to sell this particular thing, go and find your opposition and see what the calculator tells you that they've paid for the product. Because, I mean, it's a little bit hard until you go to your supplier and find out how much the product's going to be, because, you know, when you've never sourced anything before, you might think it only costs $2, but maybe it costs $10. You know, you'll sort of, I suppose we've got a bit better idea of that because we've done quite a bit of work with sourcing and different people. But when you start out, you know, it's really hard to know exactly what that's going to cost. And so you've got to, but if you look in the calculator, it'll give you an idea of what that person's paying for a product. Sometimes that's a bit light on, I find, but it might be something cheap out of China. So you've got to try and look for something that's quality, that's going to be a bit like your product, and work through all those costs. Because, like, on top of we'll go from the top here quickly what you've got. So you've got to pay for initially, obviously, a product. You've got to ship it into Amazon. You've got to have it put in a box or packaging of some description. Sometimes that's included in your product cost, but it's still a cost you've got to find. So then you have Amazon charge you 15%. So if I sell something for $50, Amazon charge me 15% of that. So that's $7.50. Then on top of that, there is a referral fee, and it varies, but a shoebox about under a kilo, I think, is about $6 now. So you're up to $13.50 before you do that. Then you've got your product, you've got your shipping, then you've got all the other expenses, like at the moment, well, there's Amazon storage, which shows up in the profitability calculator, which is at the moment in Q4, $2.40 a cubic foot. So if you've got a shoebox, there's not many cubic feet, shoe boxes go in a cubic foot. So you're probably up for, $1 or something for each, sort of product there. So they're all costs you've got to take into account, because at the end of the day, you only get what's left. So by all that comes out, then you've got things like PPC, which look, when you've only got one product and you're launching, can be quite expensive. You could spend minimum of probably $20 a day. So if you're not selling many products in a day, if you're only selling 5 products, it's $4. So you've got to
Oh, what happened?
PPC.
Mark, you're frozen.
We're still there. We're back. Oh, I don't know where we went.
Yeah. Okay, you're back now.
Because you were talking about PPC, Mark, the screen.
PPC, yeah. It's my least favourite topic, PPC. So you've got, then at the moment now, because Amazon has made it a lot more difficult and you need to use a third-party logistic warehouse, you've got the cost of storage in there, the freight from there into Amazon. So by the time you take all these things into account, and then you've got, you need, your software, all the other things you need to pay each month. So you've got to really do your exercise. And I think before you even start sourcing, you need to have an idea how much, if I'm going to sell this salad bowl, what's it going to cost me before I even, put it up on onto Amazon. So if you know that, you can then go to your manufacturer and go, I can only afford to spend $8 on this. And this is my theory, and a lot of people hate telling they want to sort of make the supplier give them a really cheap price and all this. But I prefer to say, if you can't make this for me for $10, don't even waste your time doing a sample, because if I can't buy it for $10, I can't sell it. So I think you've got to also, think about the big picture before you start, because you could spend 2 months doing sampling and spend, money on sampling and freighting your samples, and then you get it back and you go, oh, I can't make a cent out of this. I'm not going to do it. So what have you wasted? Your money, the supplier's time, and you're back to square one. So to me, I think it's important to get it right first.
Let's take a couple of questions here, then we'll move on to the next tip that you have. So, hey folks, is there an Alibaba equivalent to India? I'm looking to source a wooden product and want to compare option sourcing from India. Well, Harsh, you're in luck because we have recently launched a website that will help you find suppliers from India, and it's at indiasourcing.net. So I'm just going to display the URL over here for you real quick, and here you go, indiasourcing.net. So check it out. It's got vetted suppliers from India, and these are export manufacturers. So you can contact them directly via the website. Also, Harsh, Alibaba and Global Sources, they are amazing platforms, export-focused directories. Go to these platforms, do a search, and then use the country location filter to find suppliers from India. And just be a little bit aware of India Mart, because that is a domestic-focused website. So a lot of companies that are on India Mart are actually not experienced with exports, and you can end up with bad quality products, or sometimes they don't even have the license to export products out of the country. So just be a bit aware of that. Hope that's helpful. Oksana is asking, what about differentiating products made in India? It's quite easy with the Chinese suppliers. How is it done in India? So Oksana, it's really possible to do that in India as well, because all of the companies are very, very open to customizing the products or creating products based on your own designs. So sometimes they will, you can send them your inspirations, maybe a photo from another Amazon listing that's doing well that you want to sort of develop a similar product, and you can tell them the specific changes that you need to make on that product, and they'll be happy to do that. Or you can come up with your own unique design and send the design over to them, and they will create a sample for you right from scratch. So both options are possible. Some suppliers also have their own in-house design teams that do designing of products, and so you can also pick products from their catalog. But usually they prefer OEM, or usually they prefer buyers giving them designs or telling them what to produce. I think I saw another question from Harsh. If I want an Etsy product made in India, how should I proceed? Yeah, so Harsh, the first thing to do is check suppliers for that product. So go search on Google or the supplier directories that I mentioned. Start contacting those suppliers, and just as you source in China, you could start with samples, get some price ranges, and get a better understanding of the supplier's capability as well. That's very, very important. And we're going to be covering all of this in great detail in the workshop. So in case you're really looking to source products from India, consider joining the workshop this week.
Megala, could we just mention the sourcing agents we've got in the group too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we've also got some sourcing agents in the group. In case you don't want to go to suppliers directly, you can definitely take the help of sourcing agents. And on the website, indiasourcing.net, there is a section for services. So if you go there, you'll find sourcing agents, freight forwarders, quality control companies, lawyer, 3PL, packaging companies. So basically, all types of service providers that you need to source products from India are available on this website, and you can contact them directly.
And the sourcing agents do specialize in certain materials.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a specific thing, even if you want to post in a group, we can point you to the right person. But you can, check out their profiles, and you'll see.
Yeah.
For instance, there's one that does wood, and someone else that does something else, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I'm looking to take a product idea from Etsy and make a slightly improved product from India. Would I need CAD designs, etc.? Start talking to manufacturers. Yeah, it depends on the product, Harsh. So it's difficult to say if you need CAD designs or not without looking at the product. But yeah, for some products you do need CAD designs, and they are better with CAD designs. But for some products, if you have like a picture, or if you can send the supplier a sample, they can sort of reverse engineer the product. Wonderful, thank you. Okay, Mark, so let's go on to the next tip that you have for people, which is do your product research before contacting suppliers.
Yes, so look, I think, I know I've seen quite a few people sort of come to me and say, oh, I want this product. And they just go off and get, oh, like I want to sell this. So I don't know, this vase here, but they haven't done any product research. So they'll spend couple of months developing a product with a supplier, but then they haven't done any research on Amazon, and there mightn't be demand for that. Like, not everything is in demand on Amazon, and the worst thing you can do is if you can't find it on Amazon, don't think you've won a gold nugget. I mean, in most cases, if nobody's selling it, nobody's looking for it, and you've put in keywords for whatever you're selling, nobody's going to be looking for it because nobody else has ever looked on Amazon for it if there's no keywords there for it. So I think in that respect, you've got to, it's no good thinking, inventing something that's really different, because you probably need to get on the US TV and, show your ad or something, because nobody's going to know it exists. So I think it's more, you've got to find something that's got keyword searches for that particular product. So I think you're going to waste a lot of your time and a lot of your suppliers' time if you just go off without doing any research. And look, also with products, be careful what you choose. My rule is, and especially if you're new, like these things sell on Amazon, but to me, if it goes in your mouth or on your body, they ring alarm bells to me, because that means it's going to need certifications. It might need clearance with customs in the US. There's a lot of things, and it's okay when you know what you're doing and you know how everything works to go off and go into that sort of space. But I think for your first product, just choose something simple, because you don't want to have to pay to get products tested. I mean, testing can cost thousands of dollars. And Amazon require a lot of testing and certification for any of these products. So I think that one thing to me is a bit of a no-no. So be careful with those sorts of things. And things like plants and seeds. Think about it. can I bring this back in, in with customs? Like even wood, I know if we come in from overseas, we have to declare our wood products. But with Amazon and coming out of India, your supplier will be able to give you the paperwork there is paperwork required, but it's quite simple. It's not costly. The supplier will give you all the required paperwork to get into the US. So I think, but things like, topicals, supplements, anything like that, the people are going to take and can litigate against you. And I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Just sort of think, if you found some, product and it's got a Sharpie point end, I'd sort of be thinking, oh God, I don't know whether I want to do that, because people in America love litigation. So, I mean, if somebody's getting stabbed or, the kid pokes its eye out and falls on this, really pointy thing, just always sort of think of something that's simpler. Don't go too sort of complicated in your first product. So I think you've got to be careful of, but my biggest thing is, and look, toys are good to do, but I know you do have to get certification and they have to be ungated. There are quite a few sort of niches that can be a little bit more difficult. So I think to start off with, try and choose a bit, simple, easy product, not, even if you do foods, it's got expiry dates and lots of things to do, all those, sorts of, things like that. So just, I think, break your teeth in on the first, because there's a lot to learn. If you come to our workshop and you see all the steps of what you've got to do, and you've got to be an expert at all these, because you're the manufacturer, you're making this, you're doing it. So I think maybe start off with something simple, and if that works and you're happy with that and you know the process, then you can learn as you go. You'll learn, because you'll be on the Amazon space, you'll be listening to groups, you'll get more involved, then break into something that is a little bit more complicated and harder to do, because you don't want to have to spend months getting some certification on your first product. You want to find something and you're all excited because you want to get it listed and you want to get it live and you want to get it on the ship. You don't want to be spending 6 months trying to work out how to get it ungated, how to get it certified, and spending a lot of money. So for your first product, please do something pretty simple, and if that works, you can keep it. If it doesn't, you've learnt something on that one and move forward into something else.
And Mark, you always want to know who your target market is and who you likely, who you want to sell the product to.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah,
mind,
look,
right?
and look, it's a matter of, I suppose, choosing. I don't know. Look, sometimes mothers like to do things that are for children, or something that they're experienced at. So I think you've got to pick a target market that you're happy to deal with, and because you might want to target them through Facebook or all the different sort of social media. So it might be something that you need to pick something that you've got an interest of, that you know something about, and not something that you have like for me to start selling mechanical tools, I have no idea, so I really wouldn't want to sell stuff like that. So I think you've got to sort of find something that you don't have to be really passionate about it, but you do have to sort of relate to it yourself. You have to know a little bit, because if people start asking you questions about it, you've got to know, that target audience is who you're going to be, having to deal with down the track.
I mean, I'd love to sell in the golf
yeah, Kevin would love to sell in golf.
Yeah. Who am I up against? I'm up against 6 Amazon type like businesses that sort of own the golf space. So I'm not going to go looking there, am I? It's beyond it. So if you can turn a hobby into making money, it's fantastic, because my knowledge of that sport, for instance, it's great. But Mr. Nike and Mr. Callaway and all the Titleist, they all own that space. So I've got no chance of getting in there.
Yeah. So Claire also says some products have high insurance, which took me totally by surprise. $300 per month, as risk of customer hurting themselves was deemed high.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is going to be increasingly, very important moving forward, because Amazon is now requiring sellers to have liability insurance. So this is something that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
One more question from Harsh. Is there a resource that can point us to certifications we need to import wooden products from India? So Harsh, there are quite a few certifications that are needed. There's some documentation that needs to be done. There's a Lacey's Act document that needs to be filled in. And there's also, if you're doing plywood, for example, there's a different certification that's needed. So, and then there's also a local Indian certification, which is called VRICH, that certifies that the wood has been sourced sustainably. So there are a couple of different certifications that are required.
But I think if you use the right export-focused supplier, you shouldn't have
Yeah.
any problems. Like we've got wood in our niche, and I've never ever done anything. I've just said I need all the paperwork, and it's done, Marg, and it goes off to the shipper, and I don't even know what it looks like. I've never seen the paperwork. So I
Yeah.
think if you're choosing, I suppose, the supplier who's not export focused, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place because you're going to have lots of trouble with your shipping and everything
Yeah.
else. So I think, make sure you've got an export focused, first question, if you don't get them from our group, is when you contact a supplier, are you able to ship overseas? Can you do that for me? And if they say they've never done it before, walk away, because it's going to create, a lot of sort of, hassles for you, because you're not going to be able to get the goods through without the right paperwork. So I think
Right.
that's important. Yeah. And now the
Okay,
other
so let's
thing
move on to then.
sorry,
Yeah,
go
do you
on.
want to move to the next one, which
I
is
was just going to say
yeah.
quickly, another thing when you're looking at your product research, if you go into any product and you think you want to sell it, and the top page has got 15,000 reviews, 20,000 reviews, don't even bother. You're going to be able to compete. Those people have obviously got deep pockets to get those many reviews. They're selling a huge volume. So how are you going to get even to the top 10 pages in that category if everyone's got those reviews? So I think that is something you really need to be careful of, and also do a bit of research. And if it says on the right hand side, shipped and sold by Amazon, that means you're competing with Jeff. That means that they have done, I suppose, a sweet deal with some supplier along the way, and they're now getting that product supplied to them to sell. But they'll be able to, they don't have to pay for PPC. They can advertise as much as they like. They're in the box seat. They're not paying all the fees we are. So I think it's pretty hard to go and compete. And they've usually, because they're Amazon, they've usually got thousands of reviews as well. So I think that's a big warning to me. And even if you think, oh, I really want to do that, I can compete. Think again, because how are you going to get 5,000 reviews? It's not easy. You don't get a review for every product. Every time you get a sale, it can take you, it might be 1 in 100, 1 in 200. So, just think about how much they're selling to have those reviews. So it's another little alarm bell when you're sourcing.
Okay, send detailed inquiry forms to suppliers.
Okay, do you want to do that one, Megla, or do you want me to do it?
Okay, yeah, let me do this. So, what we've seen is, and this is based on feedback from suppliers that we're getting, and also talking to different, Amazon sellers in the group. A lot of times, sellers just send very, very less information to suppliers about the product that they want. They'll just say, I want a wooden bowl. And yeah, you want a wooden bowl, but what type of wood do you want used on it? What type of finishing do you want? Do you want it natural? Do you want, some sort of coating on it? Do you want a walnut finish? What's the color that you want on it? Which market are you exporting to? Because that will determine the certifications that are needed. And then what's the thickness of the bowl that you need? That's super important for wooden kind of products, or any product, in fact. And then other things like what are the dimensions? What sort of packaging do you need on the product? So my point is that you don't want to make the supplier assume anything about your product. So you need to be very, very detailed about the specifications that you give to the supplier, so that there are no gaps, so that they are not filling in the gaps that you have in your product specifications, because they are then going to just choose the cheapest option, and that might not be the right option for you. So if you don't specify the type of wood that you need, they might choose some type of a wood that is not really good quality. So you need to specify very, very clearly what exactly you want. And sometimes it's hard because you're doing the product for the first time. You don't really know what kind of woods are available in India. You don't really know what sort of thickness you will be good for a specific kind of product. So you have to do your research before you start contacting suppliers. Maybe look at products that are already selling on Amazon and look at their specifications. You could also just talk to a few suppliers, on Zoom calls, and try to understand the different types of options that are available. Sometimes suppliers will give you the options, but they'll usually not do it via an email or, write a long message to you. You could probably just get on a call with them and ask them, okay, I want to do this salad bowl. Don't do a salad bowl, but just as an
No, don't
example.
do a salad bowl.
Yeah. But just as an example, so you can ask them, hey, what are the different types of wood that's available? And, what is the cost of different types of woods? And what are the pros and cons? And, some suppliers will be forthcoming, and this will also give you an opportunity to understand how experienced the supplier themselves are in that particular material and in that product category, because sometimes suppliers make a wide range of products in different kinds of materials, and they may not be experienced in the material that you're looking to source. So when you have that detailed discussion with them, that also gives you an opportunity to test your supplier's knowledge and experience in that type of material. So if a supplier is very experienced in wood, for example, they'll immediately tell you, oh, no, use this wood for, a salad bowl, don't use this type of wood, and, this finishing will work well, but we can't do this finishing. So they'll be very upfront, and they'll be able to give you all of this information. So also, other things like fabrics or textile-based products or apparel. Now, for apparel, you can't just say, I want a t-shirt in size S with something printed on it. Now, apparel is very, very technical, in fact. So if you are doing anything that's apparel, you need a tech pack, because you need to specify exactly what the length of the product is, and what kind of stitching you want, and what kind of fabric you want used. You can't just say, I want cotton fabric. There's so many different types of cotton. There's also blends that are available. So you need to specify exactly what you need, what type of fabric you need, how you want it stitched, what are the types of buttons that you need, what are the types of zippers you need, for example, if you need to make, I don't know, pants or a handbag or anything like that. So just think about your product and look at the product holistically, and think about what are the different specifications that you can give to a supplier. And it's not going to be easy sometimes, because you're new to the product, but you've got to do research and you have to figure it out. The other thing is, if you don't have all of this information, then the supplier knows that you're a newbie and they will not take you seriously. I have seen this so many times in China and in India as well. If you just send a very basic inquiry to a supplier saying that, hey, I want to source 100 salad bowls, give me a price, more likely than not, they will not respond to you, immediately, if at all. So the more detailed you are, the more specific you are about your products, the more likely it is that the supplier will take you seriously, they'll respond to you quickly, and then the whole process will be easier. The whole process will be smoother for you and for the supplier, because you're not leaving anything open to assumption.
Megla, do you think, like with sort of apparel, it's a wise move that if you're just a beginner, to approach, a sourcing agent to help you, because of tech packs, because it's so technical, and it's not just like a normal sort of a wood thing. To get into apparel, it's a lot of information you need to hand over to get a result. Do you think it's better to engage a sourcing agent for if you're going into apparel, if you're serious about moving into apparel?
I think if you are new to apparel and you have no idea where to start, but you do have the money to start apparel, because you do need capital to start apparel, because you need different sizes, colors, and the return rates are high. So you do need to have some sort of capital. But if you're starting out, and if you don't have an idea of where to start, and how to start and how to put the tech pack together, then definitely use a sourcing agent, and they'd be able to guide you, and use a sourcing agent that's experienced in sourcing apparel, because different sourcing agents specialize in different product categories. So that's something that you should also ask the sourcing agent before you start.
And I think too, you can't just get 100 garments. I mean, it is usually like, depending on the fabric, it might be 1,000 meters, it might be 10,000 meters. If you want to design something that's not being made already, and you want specific, elastic or whatever you want in it. They might, to run their machine and set that up, they might want 10,000 meters. Are you going to be able to, have that big order? So I think it's very daunting to start. But yeah, I think apparel's not easy to get into either. I think, if it's your first product, cut your teeth on something a bit easier. Once again, I think apparel's another thing that I would avoid because of even the sizing. I mean, if you're going to America, the sizing in America is so different to India. So you've got to have someone in India who knows what an American extra large is, or you're going to end up with millions of returns because the sizes is going to be totally different.
Yeah,
even some of the European sizes are different to our sizes.
Yeah, and you need to know the sizes. You need to know the sizes for your market. The supplier will not know them. I mean, they might, but you shouldn't let the supplier assume it. You need to know the sizes and tell the supplier, this is what I want. It's really very dangerous to let the supplier assume and say, hey, I want to source from America. Can you give me size S? Okay. What is size S?
I know when I go to Singapore, Megla, and I get a T-shirt. They go, oh no, not for you. You're too big.
Yeah.
You need like triple XL.
I know. We were in Singapore, and I don't know why we were somewhere, and I needed a T-shirt with a collar to go to the golf with Kevin, of course. And I'm walking into all these shops, and I'm looking at the extra large top, and I'm going, it doesn't even go near me. And I mean, I ended up buying this little top that I squeezed myself in, so I had a collar to go onto the golf course. But I thought I brought it home, and I couldn't ever wear it again because it was so small. But and they just didn't make any bigger. And I mean, I'm not huge, so you can imagine what could happen, with sort of some of the larger American sort of, people over there compared to a little Indian man. So yeah, just think about that.
Or a bunch of Aussie guys. It's 6'6" type scenario.
Yeah. So that's another tip for you guys. Send very, very detailed inquiries to suppliers. And we are going to cover this in the workshop as well. We're going to give you a product specifications template, and we're also going to do an exercise about this. Okay, and then the last one that we have is order quantity. So Mark, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, this is another pet hate of mine. I mean, some people come to me and go, so how many are you going to order? 100. Now look, that to me, it's not, once again, it's not a hobby. 100 items is not going to get you started in a business. Might at the local market, maybe, if you're going to get 20 different things, but still, once again, 100 is not going to cut very much. When you go to Amazon, you've got to think about you're going to spend money getting the product made and getting everything done, and it's going to be dearer. If you're only doing 100, a supplier is not going to run that order through for you at the same price as he would at 500 or 1,000. So you've got to think about that. But then you've got to think shipping. Now, that's a big exercise we were going to cover in the workshop. But if you're shipping a really small quantity that can't be air shipped, there is a basic cost. It's around $500-$600, and it's just for any sized shipment that has to go by sea, and they're customs duties and port duties and all these charges. So no matter how big your shipment is, that is a standard fee. And then on top of that, you pay what I call the actual ship fee itself, which is done by cubic meter, which is on top of that. So, if you're only sending 100, you're probably up for $8 or $10 shipping on a product, depending on the size and everything else. So, I mean, it's a waste of time. So, before you've started, you're not going to make any money. Then you've spent money. You have to do great photos. You have to, really get your trademark, all those things. And you've only got 100 products. So you get onto Amazon and you go the first month, you get the honeymoon period, and they start selling, and you're selling 5 a day. What's going to happen? You're not even going to have enough stock to last a month. So you've then wasted all that money because you've got to have to reorder, and it might be another 3 or 4 months before you get into Amazon. And by then you've got to start again. And so you've wasted all your money on your PPC and everything else. So I think minimum order quantity is 100 is just a waste of time. And I know some people say, I just want to test the market, but you're delaying the inevitable. You're wasting probably 6 months to 12 months to get that product done live, your listing written, your images done, and you test it. And I think, people say you can test, you just want to test it. But if you haven't got good images, you don't know whether it's really going to sell. If you've just put up a couple of, 2 crappy images or something onto Amazon and a half-baked listing, is it really giving you an idea, is it going to sell or not? Because you're not doing the right thing. People aren't going to look at that listing. If you go in looking professional with your A+ content, your storefront done, all your real estate being used fully, that way you're going to know if that product's going to work. So to me, I can't see the logic in it. You might sort of get a bit of an idea, but you could then go back and order 1,000 and it mightn't work. You might as well bite the bullet and go in first.
Yeah, Marg, would it be fair to say that it all goes back to product research? If you're confident with your product research, then the information you gain from your product research should give you the confidence to to buy a decent MOQ.
Yeah. Look, there's no guarantee with any product on Amazon, and nobody can give you a guarantee. But I think you've got to, be pretty confident. And look, it might take you, 6 or 8 months to sell that first order, but you're going to need that. Even if you order, I don't know, let's say you order 700, say 2 months worth of product. If you're selling, sort of 20 a day, but that's not going to last you. So you're going to hope you might only need to sell 5 or something a day, even at that rate, because you've got to, once that you do your order, once again, if you're shipping from India, or at the moment from China, it's probably quicker to ship from India and get it made. But most, depending what you're making, if you're using a metal or a wood product out of India, it's usually 12 weeks minimum from manufacturer. If you're doing something that's apparel or something that's quick to be made, like maybe a bag or something, you might get it in a month, but then you've got at least a month's shipping time. You've got to get through the Amazon sort of shipping in if you have to go to a 3PL. So like you can be talking 4 or 5 months to get that next shipment in. So I mean, even if you order, even 1,000 and it's 6 months, it's not a lot of months to sell. I mean, it means the product's a total failure if you're not starting to sell that out in the time. So I think, don't waste 6 months of your life or 12 months of your life selling 100 to have to virtually start Amazon all over again, because that's really what the punchline is. I mean, it's okay if you've got heaps of money and you can test a lot of products and, you're a big conglomerate and you loading on heaps and heaps of products. But when it's, your first product and one and only product, I just think that you're just wasting a lot of your life. And you've done all that effort for 100. It's a lot of work, let me tell you. When we work through all you've got to do, it is a lot of work to sell 100, and you're going to lose money. You are not going to make a cent, because
So what is the typical MOQ you think?
Look, I think 500. To me, I like to sort of say, 500 is probably worthwhile. Look, some people will, really don't want to commit too much money and do 300. It's probably the lowest, but I find shipping 300 on their own is not enough. I really think, 500 or 600 is still very low. I wouldn't like to ship. I mean, I'll just order more of something to make my shipment bigger than order a small shipment like that, because I'm just throwing money away because of the shipping costs. So, I think, look, you've got to look at the product. You've got to look at how much capital you've got, I suppose. If you're doing a $10 product and it's, 500, there's $5,000. So, I mean, that to me, I think really much less is not ideal, because if it sells, you're going to be out of stock, and many people will tell you what happens when you go out of stock. It's hard to get back to where you were. You lose the momentum on Amazon, and then you've got to really spend a lot of money to get yourself back up. So it's counterintuitive, because what you're doing is you're saving the money on the product. It's costing you more to ship it in, and then you're going to spend probably more money on PPC re-ranking that product at the time. So I think it's, people have just got to be, you're going into business, you're still doing the cheapest business in the world. There's no business I know that you can get started and, make the serious money that I know a lot of people have made out of this with that, like, go and rent a shop, go and buy a franchise, 500,000 for your franchise, month's rent, in advance of, $10,000 or something. Hello, staff standing there from day one, and you've got no customers.
Marg, what do you both think of, like most of the Indian factories that we've spoken to, or suppliers that we have on Viz, and they always say, hey, if you spend, X amount of dollars, we can actually give you, 4 or 5 different products to sort of try. So instead of having one SKU and then you go to a marketplace, put that one SKU up, at least if you've got, different products, you know, like out of say 4, you know, not all are going to be winners, but I mean, you've got more chance of sort of having a little bit of a hit, you know,
You have, but I think
initially.
maybe just do 2, 3 at the most, because the problem is then if you only get say 600 and you're down to 200, once again you're going to run out of stock. But the other issue is you've got to do photography. I mean, all these other things, and if you're struggling with a second job, this is, you know, you're just getting into this and still working full time, which most people probably are, you know, you've got to find time to write that listing. So I mean, don't go off and do 8 different products or something at first unless you've got the time and the money to do it, because it, you know, it's a lot of work to get all that done. So I think, you know, maybe do 2, 3 at most of a product, or, you know, a couple of variations and colours or something are okay. But just be careful that you don't spread yourself too thin once again. So it's good going to a supplier and saying, look, you know, what's your, because sometimes it depends on the cost of your product, but they might say if you spend $8,000 with us, you can have, you know, 2 or 3 different products. That would be probably the best way to go. But I think if you start going into a lot more, it's going to be costing you a lot to get yourself up and running with all the different products. That's all. Because there's so many costs you've got to take into account.
Right. So everyone watching, do you have any questions for Marg about selling on Amazon or sourcing from India? If you do, you can type your questions in the comments now. We'll start wrapping up. We're at the top of the hour. We were supposed to go for 30 minutes, Mark. But
yeah, this is what's going to happen, isn't it?
There's a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah, we could go on for
Ashraf
ages.
or Rahim is saying good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so guys, if you have any questions, let us know now. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Let me see. Okay, I don't see any questions. Let's just give people a couple more minutes to see if they have any questions, and then we'll start wrapping up. Just another reminder, guys, that India Sourcing Workshop is starting this week. So, yeah.
Mark, you explained that really, really well. So.
Well, yeah, I do get on my soapbox about it because it's my passion that I hate seeing people just lose their money. You just think these people aren't going to make any money out of this, and it goes against my grain. I want to see everyone who does this try and succeed and you know, become successful.
Yeah. When it comes to wooden products, how does India compare with China? So there are significant differences, Harsh, with China, and one of the biggest differences is that certain types of wood are available in India, and there are other types of wood that are better sourced from China. For example, India doesn't do bamboo wood. Bamboo wood means there are 2 types of bamboo wood. So one is where it's just like raw bamboo. We're taking the bamboo stick and then carving stuff out of it, or splitting it and making, you know, cane or whatever out of bamboo. So India does that kind of bamboo. But then India does not do processed bamboo wood. So in China, they do a lot of the processed bamboo wood, which is they make these huge planks out of bamboo that look like real wood. So if you want that kind of engineered bamboo wood, then you go to China. But India is really specialized in mango wood. And mango wood is a very sustainable kind of wood, and very beautiful grain. Of course, it's natural. So if you want mango wood that's higher quality, more long-lasting products, more luxurious premium kind of products, you can get those from India in mango wood. Then there's also other types of wood that's available in India, like teak wood, but there are some, you know, things that you need to be aware of when sourcing those kinds of high-end premium
acacia
woods.
They do acacia
wood. Yeah, acacia is another one that's
and a lot of the wooden products too are handmade, and so you'll find the different types of woods, instead of it being machined, you know, coming from a machine in you know, a mass production type of process. You know, a lot of the wooden products are actually made or handmade by artisans in different either different co-ops, different sort of villages or clusters around whatever the region or the area may be. For instance, what's the Saharanpur is
Saharanpur, yeah. You're getting
the
better with the
I am.
pronunciations. You
Yeah,
are.
it's a bit of a mouthful for me,
Totally.
but yeah, that region specialises in a lot of wood products. But you'll
Yeah,
find Moradabad, even though it's metal, they do have the skills from the artisans in the
yeah,
city to do wooden products,
yeah,
and very well, I might add, from what
yeah,
we've seen firsthand
yeah.
in on our travels.
Absolutely. And of course, there are pitfalls. When you're sourcing from any country, there are things that you need to be aware of that are, there are red flags, whether when you're talking to a supplier or when you're going to a certain production center, there are things that you need to be aware of and avoid pitfalls. And that's also something that we're going to be covering in the workshop. Because I've had a lot of experience sourcing from China and India, and I've seen a lot of bad things happen. So I'm always very cautious, and I'm always like highlighting the pitfalls that, hey, it's great, but be aware of
Yeah.
this because I have seen that happen. So I know that there is a possibility that you might, face an issue somewhere.
How many factories have you visited, Megla?
Too many to count. Okay, so Amanda is asking, I'm just signing up, but how would I find out if I have an alumni link? I can't remember if I would have one. I don't think you have an alumni link, Amanda, because I don't think you've attended any of our previous workshops. Because, like, have you attended any of our workshops? We
Yeah.
do PPC, we do product research bootcamp, listing optimization, mindset. Those are some of the workshops that we do. So if you have not attended a workshop with the three of us or with
Yeah.
me and
But
you
Amanda,
probably don't have an
if you
alumni
sign
link.
up for this one and then you finish this one, you'll have an alumni for the next one.
Yes. You'll have a 10% alumni code for the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So how much money does one need to
Email,
start out with
email.
Amazon?
In
How much
email or
money does
Facebook, what does that mean?
I think she's just asking is the code in email or in Facebook. So I don't think you'd have the code, Amanda, because I may be wrong and I can look at my records, but I don't think you've attended any of our workshops previously. How much money does one need to start out with Amazon? What do you think, Mark? I mean, is there an answer to this question?
Look, I just honestly believe if you haven't got $10,000 that you can outlay to get started and do it properly, I think you're just going to waste your time. Amazon is getting tougher, it's getting more competitive, and Amazon want you to be professional. They don't want mum and dads doing hobby on Amazon. They are pushing everyone to have trademarks, brand registry. And to do a trademark just before you
Yeah.
start, you're up for a couple of thousand. You've got to do your photos. You're up for probably $300-$500. They want videos. You've got to have stock. You've got to do shipping. You need some money in reserve. If that product takes off, you've got to be able to redo another order. So you've got to have a deposit for that next order because your money won't all be in the bank. So I think at a minimum, if you're not prepared to put out 10,000 and without being sort of, I suppose, negative here, and lose it, because if something goes wrong, if your product doesn't work and you've got to do another product, a lot of that money is, money that you're going to lose. So, I mean, nothing is guaranteed with any business in the world. So I think you've just got to think, I've got this $10,000, I'm going to make it work. And with hard work and a lot of research, you should be okay, but there's no written guarantee. We can't say to you, yeah, every product you put on Amazon is going to make you money. It's not.
But it's like saying how long is a piece of string in some ways too, Mark. Isn't it? I mean,
it is, yeah. But
certainly, like we spoke about earlier on. I mean, you need a credit card with some credit on it, because if your product does take off and you need to sort of keep going, so you need a good cash flow or a backup, or yeah. to keep going.
Yeah. I'm looking for one-on-one training to start a business on Amazon India. So, Ashok, we mostly focus on Amazon US, but of course, most of what we are talking about can be applied to Amazon India. But of course, there are certain differences. But we can connect you to somebody who specializes in Amazon India. So, if you want to just maybe send me a message on Facebook Messenger, or you can go to our website and you can look for our email address there, or I can just type it in here as well. If you want to just send us an email, um, I can connect you to somebody who will be able to help you. So info@indiasourcing.net, that's our email address. If you can just send me an email there, I will connect you to somebody who can help you with Amazon
Yeah.
India.
And can I just add to that? I think getting someone one-on-one is a great idea, but I believe, once again, you should perhaps sign up to Helium 10 and do the Freedom Ticket as well. That's free, except for you've got to
Yes.
pay for your Helium 10, but Helium 10 works in India, so you're going to have the
Yeah.
software to do your product research. So you're going to have that anyway. No coach is going to just be able to teach you everything. You need to do the software, and I think you need to have an idea. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So do the free course, go through that. It'll probably take quite a lot of modules. It's fantastic. It's probably one of the best courses, and the bonus is because it doesn't cost you anything. It's really good. Then once you know a bit more about what you're talking about, then go and engage in a coach, because otherwise, there's so many steps along the way. You would be spending hours and hours and hours with a coach to be able to get the help. So I'd suggest you do that first, and then approach Megala's got somebody who can help you. But I think you need some basic idea of what you're up against first. You need to know the nuts and bolts of how Amazon works before you go to a coach, because they're going to spend, like we've been on here for an hour and a quarter, and I tell you, we have touched a millisecond of what's needed to go through everything that's needed to get you live on Amazon.
Yeah. So in case you are looking for a discount code for Helium 10, you can use India 10. That gives you a 10% discount. That's
Which
every
gives, I
month.
think it's 80. I think it's $88 a month. That
88
brings
US
it down
dollars, yeah.
to. I think that's what you get it for.
Mike says, very informative session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Please recommend if you know anyone who will be able to teach one-on-one. I'm in USA. Well,
That's the
Ashok,
same
as
person,
yeah, I
isn't
think it's
it?
the
Yeah.
same. But so if you want to sell, if you're in the US, then we strongly suggest that you start selling on Amazon US, not Amazon India, because Amazon US is the bigger marketplace. Amazon India has a lot of competition, and it's a different market, different types of products that sell on Amazon India, and it's very price competitive. So if you're selling on Amazon India, you're mostly profiting on volume. So you have high volume of products that you're selling, but slimmer margins. So it's a different ballgame altogether. Amazon US is definitely where you should start, especially if you're based in India, in the US, sorry.
In the US.
Yeah. In regard to registering our trademark, Seller Central have asked to book a call with them. They want to see at least 50 of our inventory. Our products will go
This is
directly
new.
from manufacturer to 3PL.
Never heard of that before. Have you
That's
got?
the first.
Yeah. If you got the serial number from your solicitor or whoever's handling your trademark, because I'd be going back to the solicitor who's doing your trademark. If they've help, like working with Amazon, they should know, because that is obviously, if that's the case, and I can't imagine Amazon wanting to check 50 of everyone's product. I don't even know how they would check it. It doesn't seem to make sense. Why 50? Like it's a very strange. I've never ever heard or seen of it, but I'd suggest you go back to whoever's doing your trademark and ask them, because unless it's something Amazon's invented today, we've never heard it from anybody at all that have been asked that question. Doesn't sort of make quite sense to me, because I can't see what they care exactly what you're saying.
Right. And Linford, in case you have any more questions, you can send an email to us here, info@indiasourcing.net, and we can, you can connect with Margaret, and she might be able to advise you. So in case you still get stuck, reach out to us. Okay, good morning. When it's coming to differentiating, is that we can get help or designer from Indian manufacturer to do it for me? It really depends. Some manufacturers will have in-house designers, but some will not. So you have to check with them. And usually the bigger companies, more established companies, will have designers that'll be able to help you. But, some of the smaller companies and all will not have a designer. So if this is important to you, then you should vet the company beforehand and make sure that they do have a designer on board. And there's something else that we're going to be talking about at the workshop. Like when you sit down and start contacting suppliers, even before you start contacting suppliers, you need to make a list of your ideal supplier depending on your unique situation. So we're going to be giving you an entire list of things that you need to think about in terms of what kind of supplier you need and what are the capabilities that you want to have in your supplier even before you go, contacting them. So just think about that. If you do need design help, then make sure that the supplier has that. Great answer. No sugar coating there. Yeah. Marg
Yes.
is a no BS
I
coach.
don't
That's what
don't
she is.
don't sugarcoat anything. I give you the truth.
No BS. And sometimes that hurts, right? I mean, people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially, I know how Mark gives feedback on products, and if I were in the seller's position, it would hurt me. Like, ouch! I really liked that product, but Mark just shut it down.
Well, yeah, but I mean, do you want to be poor at the end of 12 months, or do you want to have some money? Yeah, because I mean, I don't, and I particularly don't like saying to people, "Oh, yeah, that's a great idea," and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, that's not going to work," because you're going to come back and say, "Hey, it didn't work."
Yeah.
To me, I want you to know what I think. I mean, I'm not always right, but a lot of the reasons I can point out and go and have a look and do some more research as to why I think it's not going to work.
Yeah. Is testing a product with FBM a possible way? FBM is more
Not really.
expensive, actually.
Yeah.
It's going to end up more expensive for you.
I don't think there's much difference. You've still got to have stock. It's the same thing. It's the same platform. I can't see how it's only a delivery process. It's the only difference.
Okay, hi guys. What are the implications of the huge rises in shipping fees?
Oh, sure.
This is a big topic, isn't it, Marg?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know what Sean's product is, and he comes out of China, and he probably can't.
Sean, a lot of people are in the same boat. Sorry for that.
Literally.
Yeah,
Literally.
no, he probably can't get his product from India. So the implications, I think, are you're going to have to either absorb some of the cost or put your price up. And I think knowing your product, you're probably in a position to be able to put your price up a little bit, because you are, a pretty sort of good niche where you haven't got a lot of competition. So I think, in your case, it's a matter of, I think, testing the market and slowly putting your price up enough to cover the increase. And because Sean's product happens to also be oversized, his shipping is going to be even more expensive because he's not going to get as much in a container. So it's going to be, when you're shipping oversized products, obviously, if you were getting, I don't know, 1,000 products in a container before, that 1,000 is now the price. You'll still get the 1,000 in, but the price has gone from it's like $10,000 to $25,000. So it's a big increase on those products. But I think the only thing you can do, and in your case, I'd be slowly price creeping. But it's not going to price creep for everyone. Everyone's got to look at their niche and see what the other people are doing. I do have a product in probably a popular category that's mainly Chinese. I do have mine made in India in there, and it is different to most of the products in niche. But all of a sudden, they've got a price war, and the product that was I sold mine for $49.95, and I had a competition guy who was selling for around $48. He's now down to $28. And I'm just thinking, well, I'm not playing that silly game. I could lose money and sell all my stock with him. I'm just sitting where I am selling less each day, but I'm still making $20 more than he's making, so he won't be there long. I mean, he's going to end up falling off the perch, or he's got, I don't know.
Mark, you go, nah.
So, yeah, I have no idea what's happening in this particular niche because they're all having this, it's like their own little price war, and they're all reducing their products down from about 50% of what they were, but there's obviously no profit in it. So, I mean, I'm just hoping a few of them fall away. So, that's my state on that.
Cool.
Okay.
I will. Thank you. Amanda says, good stuff. Look who's here. Alan. How are you doing, Alan?
Hello,
Long time.
Alan.
Hi, Alan. How are you?
How's Singapore, Alan?
Thanks for your answer. Hi, guys. What is the name of the sporting goods supplier and is on the website? Yes, the sporting goods supplier is on the website. So let me just quickly type the link over here. But if you go to the website, you can just search for them as well. But it's a very simple URL. So it's India Sourcing. Oops, sorry. Yeah, indiasourcing.net/legend. That's
They've
the
got a
name of the
great name.
company. They've got a great
Legends.
name there. There are a couple of legends, aren't they?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, Legend International is the name of the company. They're based in the city of Jalandhar, which is basically the sports production products production hub, and they specialize in balls, all types of footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, rugby balls. They're just a ball manufacturer, but they can also source other types of sporting goods like boxing gloves, cricket bats, all sorts of
Table
t-shirts,
tennis,
even
yeah, lots of
Yeah,
shoes,
things. Shoes,
table
sporting
tennis.
yeah.
shoes.
Yeah,
They've got a
Soccer
huge
kits,
array.
football kits, rugby
yeah,
kits, just
Mm.
about anything you want sporting,
yeah.
contact them.
And they've got really beautiful Amazonable balls that they showed during
Oh,
the
they're
Viz show.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Very unique
Yeah,
and different, very beautiful printed
yeah.
balls that be very nice for, the I don't know, the beach or summer or
Yeah,
something.
recreational sort of,
But
I
Yeah.
see those balls as a great present for like a girl who
yeah,
wants a different ball to take to netball or something like that. I think they'd be
Mm.
fabulous birthday
And,
presents.
and a lot of them are hand stitched, and the quality is impeccable.
yeah. And this is also a fair trade certified supplier, so that's something that's very unique.
Yeah.
And there are not a lot of companies in India, sporting goods companies, that are fair trade certified. So if you are looking for ethically produced and certified products, then this is the company to go. So yeah, who asked that question? We don't know your name, but hope that was helpful. Okay,
Okay.
so Alan says, I'm good. It's raining here on the east, so my golf got cancelled.
Oh no.
Oh, Alan,
Yeah, I think it
what
stopped
about the
raining here now,
raincoat,
Alan.
mate, and the umbrella? I play in
Yeah,
the rain
come
all
on.
the time, Alan. I have to. I've got no choice.
Okay, I see one last question from Harsh, and then we have to wrap up here. Every video recommends starting with a light product, but I'm seeing many opportunities with small, oversized category. Any tips or suggestions for new sellers in this area? What do you think?
Um, Look, it's one I tend to say avoid because it is more expensive. So you really need to do your homework. What I would suggest is go into that niche once again, have a look what the fees are. Just for instance, say you've got a product that's the maximum size in Amazon is 18 inches long. If yours is 18 and a half, if you're now paying $6 fee for Amazon referral fee, that will go up to about $10. And look, it sort of snowballs as you get into bigger products. So you've got to go and see what the FBA fee is for that product in the particular niche in a profitability calculator of something similar size to work it out. So that's one downside. So you're up for an extra, minimum of $4 on even a very small oversize. Then big, and it's hard to explain this, but Amazon, when you have an oversized product, don't let it go into one warehouse. It has to go into 3 separate warehouses. So if you're sending in 100 products, they will send, 20 to one, 20 to the other, and 60 to another. So that becomes a little bit more expensive because the shipping sometimes will be further than you'll get a warehouse near your 3PL. You're going to have to use the 3PL if you do oversize because to do a split shipment from India with going to 3 separate warehouses is going to cost you that $600 3 times. So you're not going to want to do that. So you're going to have to engage a 3PL to get your stock in and out. So you're going to have that cost as well. So I think, there's nothing wrong with doing oversize. I've got one oversize. I mean, it's only minor oversize. It's only about 2 inches, but it is a pain because I have to do a separate shipping plan and send it in individually, and it does cost more. So you've got to factor that in. So I think that's just, it's something that if you've got enough meat in the product, you can do it. I'm not saying don't. I mean, I know lots of people that do it, and are quite successful. But it's no good doing it if you're scrimping that you've only got $5, margin left or something, because it's not going to work. Because you need to probably build another $10 minimum on something that's just a couple of inches bigger to cover all those extra costs. So just beware.
Right. Alan says, take care, everyone. As always, thanks, Megla, Margaret, Kevin, for your precious time. Thanks a lot, Alan. Looking forward to having an Amazon meetup here soon, hopefully. In
We'll be
Singapore.
over when we can in 2 years' time, the way it's going.
If we can, yeah. We'd love to. We'd love to.
Awesome. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. And guys, definitely check out India Sourcing Workshop. And this is, as I mentioned, a very, very unique workshop. There's no other course in the world that really teaches you how to source products from India. So very timely as well, because there's so much going on in the whole industry nowadays with shipping and all of those things. So you really need to make sure that you're profitable and your sourcing is diversified. So indiasourcing.net/workshop. That's the URL. If you're in the US, it starts at 5 p.m. Pacific time until 8 p.m. Pacific time. And if you are in Australia or Asia, it's in the morning on Saturday. So that's 8 a.m. Singapore time and 10 a.m. AEST, which is in Melbourne. So it's pretty good for most time zones except Europe. For Europe, it's middle of the night. But we've had people wake up in the middle of the night to attend our workshops. But you'll also get all of the replays. So that's you don't need to worry about if you're not able to attend live, you'll still get the recording and you can watch the recording. Come back in the Telegram group that we have for attendees and speakers or presenters and ask any questions that you might have. And also lastly, you do get 1 month complimentary access to our India Sourcing Mastermind after you join this workshop. So basically for almost 2 months, you're getting access to all of these experts for the cost that you're paying just for the workshop. Malik says, thank you for your time. Most welcome, Malik. And hope
pleasure, Malik.
Yeah, hope you will join us, Malik, at the workshop.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you at the workshop this weekend. Bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye, guys.